ability of individuals, organizations, businesses, governments to work together and make well-reasoned decisions and to carry out those decisions. So that's the definition of capacity building from my side of practical. I like to do it a little differently, make it kind of simple, so that maybe I will get some simple questions from the answers from the audience as well. So, why transformation? So, as Professor Holcomb said, that we tend to move from change to transformation. And for me, it's free, so I think why not be ambitious and use the term. So I decided to use transformation because change is you replace what you have with new things, but transform is make use of what you have. Right? But why Canadian geese? I'm not talking about environment. So, look at these geese. You know, when I did my practicum in Oregon, flying from Portland to Eugene to the head office of the organization. So I got to observe that Canadian geese, you know, how they work together, how communicate. It's kind of far away, but I didn't get to see the typical pattern, the V-shaped pattern that I heard a lot about, and I'm sure that most of us here would be familiar with the story of why, or the story behind why these geese fly in this shape. So, Canadian geese are a good example of leadership because the first four geese in the first picture, right? I could see that when they fly high up in the air, they are not in this shape all the time. They move around, and so it looks like that. Depending on different situations, they change positions. Depending on maybe the storm, the weather, the current of the wind, and some other reasons. Another interesting thing about these geese is because the top is not the one that is on the point is not always there. When it gets tired, it slows down, and the second moves up to the top, and then take turn all the way from the North Pole for the south to escape the winter. Very more interesting than that is that when one goose is sick, always two geese would slow down and keep company, accompany that geese until it gets better or until that sick geese dies. Then they would move on to join the group or join other groups. So I thought this is a very inspiring fact about this to be a good example for leadership for us people. Also, I know I spent too much time on this. So I did my presentation in my practicum in Oregon, and this is the landscape of Oregon. You can see the green area. The dark green is a lot of timber there, and lighter green are the valley, and the brown area are where people, grasslands, plains. So this is just for you to see that there are only three main roads in Oregon. So the organization that I like to talk about, there are two. The Ford Family Foundation was the one who developed this program, the Ford Leadership Program. They set up the institute called the Ford Institute for Community Building. So in the Ford Institute Leadership Program, there are two components: the leadership development, effective organizations, and community collaborations. The main part is the leadership development, and they partner with the Rural Development Initiatives, or RDI. This organization builds leadership network and rural communities. So I had the privilege to join the team to facilitate experiential learning. And from the start of the program in 2003 to 2009, that's how they have provided training to different rural communities in Oregon and the northeast or northwest of California, the Siskiyou County in the Siskiyou Mountain, California. During my practicum, I had an opportunity to write a paper, a case study about collective leadership development training for sustainable community vitality, a case study of the Ford Institute Leadership Program in Oregon and the Pacific Northwest. So I have two development questions. The first one is which elements of the FILP's leadership development curriculum enhance or contribute to collaborative leadership capacity? And the answer that I got from the curriculum is these are the concepts that are taught at the program. So you can see community capacity and social capital, personality types and leadership styles, community development models, catalytic leadership model, appreciative inquiry and asset mapping, group development models for group decision making, and communication strategies and volunteerism. So when I got there and I started looking at the curriculum, I was looking at leadership skills, and I didn't find much. It's only one chapter. And before that, during summer, I prepared myself by taking an online master's degree in leadership development, just to prepare for that. And I didn't get to study what I had prepared for. But anyway, the second question is, in what way or to what extent did the participants utilize the intended skills? And the Oregon State University did an evaluation after the Ford Leadership Program had been implemented for several years. And they found that the two skills that the participants or the graduates of the programs used the most were the appreciative inquiry and the working with different personality types, or the MBTI, which stands for Myers-Briggs type indicator, that will help participants to be aware of their preferences and other people's preferences as well. So now, with that I came up with a theory of change, or theory of transformation. So we first would start with adopting the catalytic leadership model. I will elaborate later. And using a tool, appreciative inquiry, and we will achieve another stage of capacity, which is to be able to, leaders will be able to identify or build social capital or community assets. Another tool, Myers-Briggs type indicator. This tool will help leaders to achieve another level of capacity, which is to be able to form a collaboration or to be collaborative agents or catalysts. And finally, they will achieve sustainable transformation. Now, come back to these 4 keys again. So, the catalytic leadership, there are 4 typical roles. It doesn't have to be a team of 4 people, but 4 roles. So, the first guy, maybe the girl, maybe is there, right? Because women seem to be good at, making people aware of different issues, to be a voice. Another role, convener, like to get people to form groups or to get things done. Facilitator also, actually, facilitator is to get people to reach agreement. And the final one is the implementation champion. Even though that person is at the bottom, but it helps sustain the implementation of whatever the issue that they are working on. Appreciative inquiry. There are 4 things that we would like we can look at. It focuses on what is working, not what is wrong. Builds our past success for future. Assume abundance and affirms the positive. So actually, there are a lot more. If we have time to talk about appreciative inquiry, because it is such a very, very good tool, maybe strategy, maybe some people call it a method, but it was originally developed to help business organizations to develop their capacity. But then it can be used in other forms as well, like evaluation and also in community development is also good. Which this one is compatible with the community development model, like the ABCD, the asset-based community development. And also in the asset-based community building development, we have the typical tool, which is asset mapping. So these are pretty much the same thing. In the appreciative inquiry cycle, so it begins with discover, and then dream about, discover what is the success, what is the peak performance of the community, and then they continue to dream more, be more inspired and dream about more success, and decide and plan what to do, and then start working on it. The Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, or MBTI, a mother and a daughter with the name Myers, last name Myers and Briggs, was built on some psychologists who came up with the type indicator. And these are the 4 pairs of personality or preferences that people can usually, generally fall into these patterns. And so a particular individual seems to be on one side or the other. So after doing this MBTI questions, and then they found out the answer whether they are an introvert person or extrovert person, whether they are sensing or intuition, thinking or feeling or judging and perceiving. So they will be aware of who they are, whether they have certain strengths or weaknesses, whether they are good with particular tasks or they should avoid or focus on doing something else. So this will help leaders as a team to work together successfully and to be more collaborative. So to conclude, local leaders could be most effective in bringing about sustainable community transformation when they adopt catalytic leadership model, follow appreciative inquiry process, and manipulate personality type preferences. So I'd like to, as our beloved classmate, propose the theme for this year's seminar, capstone seminar. I'd like to add another one. So be the change and lead local transformation for all. This is from, I got it from, as you know, you may know well, from Gandhi, right? Be the change you want to see in the world. So thank you very much.
The use of the metaphor of Canadian geese to communicate and to open up our minds to think in new ways. And before we go to the next one, how many people in this room have had exposure to appreciative inquiry? Okay, and how many people have done the Myers-Briggs? Okay, so we'll get into some questions later. Okay, we're going to go to our next one, and we're going to move up to a much higher